Well, Grandpa, I said, by the time I'm 30, I want to go do the Ironman World Championship in Hawaii. He goes, well, when you go, I'll go with you. 12 Ironmans later, I did qualify for the Ironman World Championship. When I crossed the finish line, arms up in the air, Mike Riley, the famous voice of Ironman, was like, Jen Rulon, you are an Ironman. And I looked up and I said, Grandpa, we did it.
Do you want to know the secret to success? Welcome to rulesforsuccess.com, a platform that unites the accomplished and the ambitious. We're here to arm you with the invaluable knowledge of individuals who have paved their own path to success. And now let's get into the show with dynamic host Joseph Varghese.
Everyone, Joseph Varghese here, and we are on our amazing podcast, rulesforsuccess.com. I'm excited, beyond excited. I've got a powerhouse woman on our podcast, Ms. Jen Rulon. Jen and I met in recent weeks. She is a peak performance athlete coach. She's a midlife transformation coach for women, 15-time Ironman triathlete. She's a best-selling author and speaker. After retiring from Ironman racing, relocating to Costa Rica, Jen now helps women in their 40s and 50s rebuild their strength, metabolism, and identity through her Rise Strong coaching programs and her upcoming Rise and the Tides Women's Retreat in Costa Rica this December. She's on a mission to help women reclaim their energy and redefine success through movement, mindset, and meaning. Pretty excited to have her on. Tap into this podcast at rulesforsuccess.com. You can tap into Jen's background and her website at jenrulon.com, JenRulon. I'll repeat this at the end of the podcast too. I'm excited. I'm beyond excited because I love engaging with people who are peak performance athletes. I believe that my clients, people that we engage with in our community success circles, we're all athletes in this playing field of life. And it's like so great to kind of get in the arena, to play, to execute, to have fun, right? Embrace relaxation, recharging, all those things. She lives by a lot of that herself. And then she also empowers her clients, specifically at this stage, women, midlife, to go beyond, right? To go beyond, to embrace and go beyond. So, Jen, I'd love to hear about your journey. What brought you to your journey? What brought you to Costa Rica? I know you've been there for 4 years now, like all of that.
Wow. Thank you, Joseph. Thanks for having me. And I'm so glad we connected at the iHeartRadio podcast, and it was the Passage to Profit. So that was a nice connection. Like I said, it was nice to be in New York City to really get the energy and the vibe, because I very much lived the Pura Vida life. So it's a lot easier to go surfing than it is to write a blog and work on my business. So thanks for bringing that energy back to me and back to Costa Rica with me. So it was a joy working and talking with y'all for that podcast. So
Yes.
Where do we begin?
Well, you're a committed athlete. You got into 15 Ironman triathlons, which is quite extreme. I mean, I've done a bunch of marathons, but a triathlon is a whole other level, and you were good at it. And on top of that, you've coached people through it and beyond, and got several clients you engage with. What brought you on that journey toward being an athlete, stepping into being an athlete?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I never considered myself as an athlete in high school, and you tend to hear this story quite a bit. I was the basketball cheerleader. I played softball for years, but I never thought I was an athlete, just because I didn't play basketball, baseball, football, or hockey like my brother did. And I actually did a TEDx talk about this journey, but it was 1989, and I was watching the ABC Wide World of Sports. And some of you may remember the tagline, "The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat." And you see the guy rolling down, right? If you're my age group, we know what I'm talking about. So, but it was the 1989 Ironman World Championship, and it was Mark Allen and Dave Scott doing this showdown. And these guys were neck and neck that whole time. And I was like, whoa, this is insane. And then an hour later, the first female crosses the finish line, Paula Newby-Fraser. And I was like, oh, wow. So she was on equal playing field. Same swim, 2.4 mile swim, same bike, 112, same run. 26.2 marathon run. Like they were all on the same playing field. And I thought, if she could do it, I could do it.
Mm. Mm.
And that was really what I said. And so then a couple months later or a month later, I went to Michigan, where I'm from, and or where I was born, I should say.
Mm.
And went to my grandpa, and my grandpa is my mom's dad, World
Mm.
War II vet. Like
Mm.
he was the it of of being a human being and man. Like he was my grandpa, right?
Mm.
And told my grandpa, I said, "Well, grandpa," I said, by the time I'm 30, I want to go do the Ironman World Championship in Hawaii." He goes, "Well, when you go, I'll go with you." He
Wow.
didn't question
Okay.
that I didn't run. Like I didn't run. I
Yeah.
played softball. I wasn't on track. I wasn't doing cross country.
Mm.
So he didn't question that. He just automatically was like, "All right, when you go, I'll go with you." Didn't
Wow.
even question it. Yeah. And
And
we talked about that on the podcast, yeah, but it was such a beautiful moment with grandpa.
did he actually participate in it with you also? Was he, or is he?
And no, unfortunately, no. So my first Ironman was in 2002 at Ironman, Wisconsin.
Hmm.
My grandfather passed in May of
Oh, that's right. You mentioned
2021. So
it. Yes.
before even 9/11, because
Right.
knowing my grandpa, 9/11 happened, he would have went down and got his army greens on and been like, "All right, where do you want me to go?"
Yeah. Yeah.
At 80 at 89 years old, like he would have been like, "Let's go. I'm
Yeah.
taken care of. Let's go, president." Um,
Right. But
but no, he never.
he fueled the vision for you. He kind of fueled that. Like, this is happening,
Abs-
right? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. He fueled that vision, and it's something that I talk about, and I still get emotional to this day. But I remember. So long story short, 11, 12 Ironmans later, over a long time period, I did qualify for the Ironman World Championship. And it was so it really took me 28 years to get to the Ironman World Championship
Mm.
when I had that vision. And it took me 28 years. And so when I went to Hawaii, my mom was there. One of her best friends was there. My best friend was there. Another friend of hers, my ex-husband, was there. He and I raced the race together, which was absolutely beautiful and monumental in our relationship.
Mm.
And because he knew that goal that I wanted to get there too. But when I was going down the hill
Mm.
towards the finish line, and I turn right on Alihi Drive, I see my mom. And her and I locked eyes,
Mm.
and we both teared up because, like, I turned and I heard you are an Ironman, you are an
Mm.
Ironman. And I
Mm.
saw the lights,
Mm.
and I didn't want that moment to end because I didn't want to lose my vision of grandpa.
Wow. Which is
And
her
so
dad.
there,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, so
Wow.
there, her dad. So
Mm.
there are photos of me going down that finish line, bawling my eyes out
Mm.
because of just that impact that he made on me
Wow.
28 years ago. Like I
Wow.
said, I still get emotional
Of
talking about
course.
it because it was such a powerful moment. And
Yes.
then when I crossed the finish line, arms up in the air, Mike Riley, the famous voice of Ironman, was like, and Mike and I became friends too over the years. And he's like, "Jen Rulon, you are an Ironman." And I looked up and I said, "Grandpa, we did it."
Incredible. Incredible. I'm sure it was quite an experience, and kind of honoring your grandfather's legacy, being able to be with your mom, and much more. It's fantastic. And you've
Yeah,
gone on to do so many more Ironmans over the years,
yeah,
right? That whole
yeah.
journey, embracing it. And wow. And how did that transform you as a person, kind of going through these experiences? Did it make
Oh,
you like stronger and like more intentional and driven? And like, I know you've written books and you've done other things too. At
yeah,
some point you shifted to coaching. I'd love to hear about that transition. But how was that whole journey going through so many of those experiences?
yeah. Well, I started triathlon coaching, run coaching, cycling coaching very early on in the journey. So I started coaching in 2001 online and even in person at that time. So I've been like, I started off with triathlon coaching and then, changed ways because that's when I shifted as well. Um, but being an Ironman triathlete really had some amazing opportunities, taught me a lot about mindset and grit
Hmm.
and consistency.
Hmm.
But it also made me realize that I was very much, and I don't know if your your vibe or your peeps understand
Hmm.
this, but I was very much as a woman in my masculine.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was very strong,
Hmm.
driven, A type personality. Like I had to achieve this, 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 this. I had
Hmm.
an organized. And now, as I have stopped doing the triathlons, I became more of a feminine woman and
Hmm.
just sort of released and became who I was meant to be
Wow. Got it.
as a coach. But it
Yes.
taught me how to be. I mean, I was very driven. I had these goals. I was trying to prove myself, trying to
Hmm.
prove my worth. I was doing all of these things in that masculine vision or in that masculine space
Hmm.
when I didn't really have the space to be a woman and be soft. And I don't want to say soft because I'm not going to roll over and
Hmm.
piss on myself, but you know what I mean? Like I just,
Was that a factor of like environment, like going through the competitive process, or was it also maybe hormonally too, because you're just so into the journey, the exercise, the intensity of it all, or was it a combination of all of that that you see looking
yeah,
back?
it was now looking back, you're right. It was probably a combination of it all for sure. Just trying to prove it, trying to get to Kona because to get to Kona, it's very much like trying to get to Boston.
Hmm.
I had to be in the top one or two of my age group at an Ironman.
When you say
And so
Boston, the references me like the Boston Marathon. Is that what you mean?
Boston Marathon,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. So
So
to
like
qualify for the
y'all,
Boston Marathon, one has to get to like a three hour mile or something of that sort, something
right. It
crazy.
depends. Yeah, depends on
The 3 hour
with the Boston.
marathon. Yeah,
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 it
yeah.
depends on also your age,
Yes.
right? So, like for us in that Ironman triathlon space, we had to be first or second in our age group to get to Kona.
Yeah,
And I mean, you're working hard.
yeah. It's your
So
lifestyle.
yes, did I love that lifestyle? You know, getting to Kona? Absolutely. It taught me so much about mental toughness, mindset, grit, consistency. And it wasn't so much about motivation. People are like, oh, how are you motivated to work out? I'm like, it's a lifestyle now. I don't even second guess it. I don't even question it
Yeah.
you know so it's all about and like seeing the results was fun too.
And identity, right? It's your identity at that point, being a triathlete, stepping into it and having kind of even a bigger vision, Kona. Um,
Yeah,
pretty intense, like putting it out there, like, and you had support. Your ex
absolutely.
husband at the time, you had people, you had family. Your mom was there early on in the journey.
Yeah.
How vital was support like during that whole journey? Having the structures, the people around you, the people you were coaching, like how valuable was that?
Oh, so valuable. And I mean, I still to this day am forever grateful for my ex-husband for providing the space for us to do that together. And that was the beautiful part of our journey was that we were two people in the business world. We didn't have kids and we were triathletes and we were badasses. Like we were a power couple in that space. We really were. And so like I'm so grateful for him for helping me with that. And one of my favorite books of all time is The Alchemist.
Hmm.
And
Piola
um
Coella, right?
yes,
Yes,
I
yes.
always jack up his name, but they talk about the universe. One of his famous quotes is the universe will conspire to have the right people around you to get to your dreams and your goals. And like he was that person. My mom knew, I mean, she heard me tell my grandpa that. So she's like, all right, let's figure it out. Like she went to Ironman Wisconsin with me. She went to Ironman Brazil with me, and then she was able to see like a lot of other Ironman Florida races. She saw my last one in 2019. So
Incredible.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even where I qualified was at Ironman Mont Tremblant in Canada.
Hmm.
And my sister-in-law and my niece and my nephew were there, and they just fueled me so much. It was on the run. For a girl who hated running,
Hmm.
got really good at running, and that's where I knocked everybody off. Like
Hmm.
I was just like bam, bam. But for the two loops on the run, so I came around on that first loop, and all of a sudden I hear, Aunt Jennifer, Aunt Jennifer. And I look over, and there was Taryn and my nephew Jackson and my sister-in-law. And I go give them a hug and kisses. And they were like, go, go, go. And I'm like, no, that's my energy. Like y'all just like you power surge
Hmm.
me. Like I grabbed like Miss Pac-Man. I grabbed that power pellet, from
Let,
those kisses,
let's talk about that. So you're in the race and you're
Yeah.
swimming and all the things that go with Ironman, right? And
Yeah,
and biking, all of those things. Like I have my own process when I run a marathon. I kind
for
of grab
sure.
onto different anchors. Like I'll when I was running this past Sunday, one of my best friends has pancreatic cancer. So I saw some people with shirt that
Yep.
said, I fight for pancreatic cancer. I'm like, I grabbed some of that. Then I saw
Yep.
someone with a shirt that said, I fight for Parkinson's disease. My wife's mom has dealing with dementia. So I grabbed that.
Ugh,
And those things fueled me. They fueled my
yes.
why as I'm going forward. Like all these anchors I was pulling at. How was it for you playing at this whole other level as a triathlete? What drove you to kind of excel and to go beyond each of those moments, even like you mentioned before with the marathon part of it, um, you excelled at that. But what were those anchor points? What are those things were there? You mentioned family
Yep.
in Mont Blanc. You mentioned like all those people. Was there anything else that was there?
Yeah, butterflies.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when my grandfather passed, I was out on a training ride
Hmm.
and I was in San Antonio. I lived in San Antonio for 25 years. And as I was out on this ride, I crest this hill and I'm going up this hill and I'm just upset, crying, wondering like, why am I even out here? I just lost my grandpa. Like,
Hmm.
he's not going to see me race. He's not going to blah, blah, blah. Like all these things going through my head, right? And as I crest this hill, all of a sudden I had a swarm of these like yellow butterflies just like went through my path.
Yeah.
And I just like stopped. I'm like, Grandpa, like you're here.
Yeah.
And during some of the hardest times of my life, whether it was personal, whether it was on a race course, whether it was when I moved down to Costa Rica,
Hmm.
butterflies have been my my go-to.
Yeah.
And it's always has followed me everywhere I've gone. So even my house in Costa Rica is called Casitas de Mareas y Morphos. So little house of tides and morpho butterflies, those big, gorgeous blue morpho butterflies. And every time I see a morpho butterfly, it's like there's your sign, you're
Yeah.
here, you're supposed to be here, what were you thinking about? So butterflies. And so like you said, like you
Hmm.
start seeing these signs and these synchronicities, like you saw the t-shirt
Hmm.
and it reminded you of somebody. And so the I would see that,
Hmm.
and then I had this little fun thing that I did. One of my girlfriends said to me, she goes, you're out on that run, she's like, I want you to be Miss Pac-Man. And
Hmm.
when you go past people, you just gulp, gulp. Like your power people, right? And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, when you go, and then I had this other vision when I went past somebody in my age group, because at that time we would put our age on our calf.
Hmm.
And so when I went past them, that they were my superpower.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so I remember two
Hmm.
miles away from the crossing the finish line, I saw a woman come out of the bathroom and I looked at her age group. It said 46. And I'm like, mm, and I'm like, you're going home, because what's at home is your ex-husband,
Mm.
your sister-in-law, your niece, and your nephew, and you knew that that finish line was close.
Yeah.
And so I just pushed it. And even like even the people, the energy at the
Yes.
race, I mean, you know this about New
Yes.
York City Marathon. Like I've seen pictures of y'all. Like it's incredible, and just the people cheering for you. And I remember going into town and this woman's like, "Oh my God, you're still smiling?" She's
Mm.
like, "How are you still smiling?" And I'm like, "Because I'm here. I
Yes.
get to do this."
Yes. Yes.
That's the beauty about it all.
I think there's a I talk about this in my other trainings, the idea of being fully associated versus disassociated. Some people disassociate themselves where they listen to music and just disconnect, and they're like in the
Yep.
zone that way. And other people, and at times when I do this, I associate with the experience, really connect with what's there, what I see, kind of pull
Yeah.
on those experiences to pull me forward, to inspire me. Like you said, the whole Pac-Man, like the acknowledgement, like all of that. And it's just like it's a mental game, right? And life is a mental game too. Business and entrepreneurship and like any role we have in life, especially when there's a lot involved, there's a lot at stake. It's a mental game, and it's like tapping to those experiences, those anchors, starting our day, priming our day, closing out our day, getting sleep. Like all those things are really vital toward succeeding. And I mean, it's so great that that was your focus for so many years. Like you're so immersed in that journey. I'm curious what, like, as you stepped out of that and
Yeah.
got into being an influencer, authorship, speaker, how has that been for you the past 6 years? Like being in your feminine, past 4 years
Right.
being in Costa Rica, shifting now toward helping people on the other side of that.
Yeah. Um, it's beautiful
Hmm.
because now I get to not only understand women a little bit better because of what I went through myself with the divorce, with the miscarriages, with the loss of my dad. Like we didn't have kids, but I lost, I lost children, right? And so now I get to have a little bit softer side
Hmm.
working with women because I understand that we don't all have that crazy ass mindset of an Ironman
Yes.
triathlete, right? So
Yeah.
now I get to see how women are as individuals, and I get to see how women don't feel like they deserve to um, invest in themselves,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
they're the caretaker, the doer, um, they're always trying to help, help the husband or help the partner, whatever,
Yeah.
help be the mom,
Yes.
but a lot of women forget to invest in themselves. And I'm always that
Yes.
person that really wants to push and be like, no, you have to invest in yourself because if you don't,
Hmm.
then there won't be a you.
I remind my wife of that all the time. Like she's in her
Good.
40s, I'm in my 50s, and she pushes herself to limits at times. Um, I'm astounded by all of it, all the things she does. I've gotten good at self care. 20 years ago, my dad passed away in my 30s. I went to a nutrition school for a year to understand how to be better health wise. But the school it was like 90% female, like 1,000 students, and
Yeah.
10% were men. And there are things that I learned that I didn't know before, um, from these women, what they're dealing with, that gave me so much more compassion for that journey, the intensity of the journey. Like even wherever they live in the world, wherever we live in New York, just the nature of having security to certain challenges, hormones, just like going through life, midlife crisis, all of that. And a vital part of this that we were taught years ago is self care, like being able to take care of ourselves, step away, to pause. And I often remind my wife about that. I'm pretty good at it myself, take care of myself. Much of what I've learned from my clients, the importance of like maximum
Sure.
engagement demands relaxation. What are some of your what recommendations do you have for clients, women in their 40s and 50s, going through the
Yeah.
intensity of all of that, whether it's divorce, family, midlife
Yes.
crisis. That's like, what are some recommendations you have?
I am a big advocate. It's my pillars:
Mm,
movement, metabolism, food,
mm,
meaning, and mindset.
mm,
So, first and foremost, a woman is going to gain so much more confidence when they start taking care of themselves physically.
mm,
Whether that's doing Zumba, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's riding your beach cruiser. I'm not going to ask you to do an Ironman, you know. Strength training, oh, strength training plays such a huge role for a lot of my women. They
mm,
start seeing that confidence. They start seeing their it's so great because every Friday I have them do photos, and you see the beginning of a photo, like the very first photo, they're like, meh, and they're not even really looking at themselves. Like they're looking up, they're looking, and then all of a sudden, like 6 weeks, 2 months later, they're like looking at themselves in the
yeah.
mirror, right? So
Mm,
the very first thing is definitely movement,
mm,
metabolism. You can control what you put in your mouth,
mm,
plain and simple. We all have the same options.
mm,
So whether you choose to go and have pizza every night at the New York, whatever, one of the
mm,
best New York pizza places in town, that's your choice, right? But is that the best thing for you? Maybe
yeah.
not. Maybe a couple days after you do, 2 days in a row after you do a marathon, 100%, you're gonna, you could do that. But um, and then the meaning. So I'm a big advocate of really finding your why, and we've talked
Mm,
about that, like
mm,
finding your why. And it's not to be the hot mom, or like there's something deeper.
mm,
There's something deeper in our souls than the physical appearance. Like,
mm,
what is your why?
yeah.
And I had one mom say, like, I want to be moving with my kids when I'm older and my grandkids. I go, bingo, that's it. That's your
Yes.
why.
Yes.
Not to look hot, you
Mm,
know. And
mm,
then last but not least is the mindset. So this is where I ask my clients, my women, to journal and meditate. And
mm,
I don't
mm,
expect people to meditate for 2 hours sitting outside on a beach. Not at all. Sometimes I have 5 minutes, sometimes I have 12 minutes, and I
mm.
will take that time to do that. And then journal, like just if you're not a pen and paper person, totally get it. But we have these little devices all the time, right? So
Yes.
you can do voice to text,
Yeah.
or voice notes. That's the best way to do
It's so
it. So
vital to
those are my
capture.
4 pillars.
It's so
Yeah.
so great. Yeah, it's so vital to capture all of that, and yeah, just taking a pause, really really
Yeah.
important.
And sometimes, like we've talked about AI a lot when we talked about on the podcast, but sometimes when I'm out walking, I will actually go to ChatGPT and say, "Hey Chat, I'm just talking to you right now because I got to get these thoughts out of my head onto paper." And I just talk away and it's right there. So like, when I'm organizing my stuff for my retreat for my ladies, like I'm like, all right, chat, I got like these 5 questions I want to ask these ladies. I'm putting this in here so you can remember for me.
It's
you
so
know?
vital to be able to get things
Yeah.
that are and AI. A lot of people is scary. We do a challenge
Yeah.
each month called 3 Day AI, and
I
it's like
know I want to sign up for that.
it's next week. I'll give you access to it.
Okay.
It's the idea of having a conversation with AI. It freaks a lot of people out, but when you see how easy and how human it sounds, it's
Yeah.
fascinating. I'll mention this. Like yesterday, I was overwhelmed after post marathon. My basement, where I work here right now, it was a tsunami post marathon. Just couldn't
Oh,
move things around.
yep.
Grok has a function on top called counselor or counselor. You press the button and you have a conversation. And she navigated me to kind of simplify the area to get
Good.
organized. And in like 10 minutes, while I was talking, I organized, and at the end of it, I felt great. So AI
Yeah.
can be very fascinating as far as having
Absolutely.
conversations or even recording thoughts or capturing thoughts. A lot of it.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So talk about your retreat. So you're having a retreat this December,
I
and
am.
you're coaching. I'd love to hear about all of it, the Rise Strong and Rise with the Tides. How long? What is that about? What does your coaching program look like?
Yeah. I'll start off with my coaching. So my Rise Strong is one-on-one coaching. I'm not the coach that's going to say, "Hey, here's your PDF. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon." I design workouts. I design programs specifically for women who need what they need. A lot of my women are looking for strength training, walking, movement. So I will design workouts. Whether you are very new and you only have a home gym, or whether you have a global gym or a boutique gym, like I will design it based off of where you're at. So I usually do 2 calls a week with my ladies. So like a Zoom call. Sometimes they take advantage of the 2 times a week. Other times they don't. It just depends on life, right? I do monthly calls with them as well as a group. And then we really break down nutrition, and I give them journal prompts. I say the Zoom calls are about 5 to 10 minutes about nutrition and workouts, and then probably the last 50 minutes are more about like the mindset and the meaning and just really what they're struggling with on everyday life. Yeah.
There's a lot of,
And
lot of
then,
hand, a lot of hand holding. There's a group element to it. It's one-on-one, and it's a
yeah,
really where they're at, what resources they have, a jump rope, a gym, access to the gym, or something more to home. So it's really tapping
yeah.
at them individually, personally, what they have.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, I'm not really like, okay, good luck getting under a bar, even though you never touched a bar before, like I'm not going to do that. Like that's not who I am. And then my Rise with the Tides retreats, it's my very first retreat. It's from December 7th through the 13th. And I found this gorgeous house in Samara, Costa Rica. And it's all about movement, mindset, meaning, and metabolism. So we're going to have these gorgeous meals that we have a chef coming into the house for. And then I am personally dating a chef from Costa Rica. And
Wow.
so the last day on Friday, we are coming up to my house that I built. I built a 2-bedroom, 2-bath container home
Wow.
on top of a hill overlooking the river. I couldn't afford overlooking the ocean, too expensive. And we're going to have yoga up here. And then my boyfriend is actually going to cook for us. And we're going to have like our closing ceremony here up at the top of the
It
house.
sounds absolutely delicious. Like I'd
Yeah.
love to be there.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible.
And so, but
Yes.
I'm also giving them free time, and we're going to go to the gym twice. We're doing yoga twice. But then I'm giving a full on free day. Like, hey, y'all do what you want to do. Like, you're in Costa Rica. I want you to experience it the way you want to. So, yeah.
Wow. This has been incredible, that whole experience.
Thank you.
If you can give one piece of advice to either the 18-year-old version of yourself or
Ooh.
somebody who's out of high school, kind of on this journey, exploring being an athlete, what advice, what wisdom would you provide that version of yourself with that person?
Wake up every day with gratitude.
Hmm.
Because I think at that age, we always wanted more, more, more. And you have everything that you need now. Like you have the roof over your head, you have healthy lungs, you're breathing, and so I don't think I was always grateful for what I had in front of me. I always wanted more, more, more. Now I wake up every day with great gratitude. I go to bed every night with gratitude. And I am full. My life is full of abundance
Incredible.
everywhere.
Yeah. Great words of wisdom. Well, thank you, Jen Rulon. Great podcast
Joseph.
for our audience out there. Tap into the summary, the notes, the mind map, all the things we offer for you at rulesforsuccess.com. So go out on Spotify, on all our stations as well. Rulesforsuccess.com. Tap into Jen's brilliance at jenrulon.com. It's JenRulon.com. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of rulesforsuccess.com podcast. Join us next week for another inspiring conversation with a successful entrepreneur. Until then, remember to be bold, be courageous, and go after your dreams.